Hi. Okay, today we're going to talk about grooming your puppy. The easiest thing to do is to take them to a groomer every 1 to 2 months. You don't want to bathe them any more frequently than every 30 days, otherwise you'll dry out their coat. So when you take them to the groomer, make sure it's a good groomer that bathes, conditions, brushes out the coat, cuts out any mats if there are mats, not try to pull them out. Make sure you ask them to cut them out. It's a lot kinder for the dog. And then trim around their feet, clean their ears, they check their teeth, things like that. That's the easiest thing to do. Okay, but if you want to bathe yourself, you don't want to take them into the groomers, I'll go through a few things that you can do to still make your dog look presentable. It's also not a bad idea, even if you go to the groomers, to just every few weeks or so run the brush through them, just keep any mats out, keep them looking good. So anyhow, that's basically what I would recommend as far as timing and groomers. Few tools, I only have a few that I use. One is this, it's the slicker brush. And this one did have a handle, but it was chewed off by a dog. But I like this one because it's a nice little round brush, so it's easier to get behind their ears and their armpit area. You know, if it's a bigger head, it's harder to maneuver it around. It's my personal preference, so I like this kind of a slicker brush, okay? I also use a comb. And I tend to use the bigger teeth side of this comb because they do have a lot of hair, but this will get all the way through their hair, all the way down to their skin. The third thing is some way to clip their nails, either nail grinders or the regular nail clippers. Now, what I want to say about this, if you're not familiar with how to clip their nails, don't do them. Take them to the groomer. They charge usually $10 to clip their nails, or the veterinarian, they usually charge the same thing, right around there. And they'll clip their nails, do it every couple of months, and then you know it's done. You know it's done right. You don't have to worry about cutting it too short and having them bleed or anything like that. So that's basically what I use for grooming. As far as if you don't want to go to a groomer and you want to tackle this yourself, then same thing, bathe them, use a good conditioner to bathe them, and you'll want to brush them at least every 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm going to get Titus, we're going to use him as our volunteer model, and I'm going to show you how I do some of these things. Okay, now we have Titus here, he's going to be our little model. And first thing I want to tell you is when you're grooming on your own, and even if you take them to a groomer, a good thing to do is about once a week clean their ears out. And I just take a regular tissue. That's what I use. And you just flip their ears backwards. You wipe out where you see, the areas you see, just get it clean. And then you can actually wrap it around your finger a little bit and put your finger down in your ear, just a little bit, and just kind of wipe that around, okay? And I will do both ears just to make sure that they're, clean and I've got the worst of the gunk out. If they have a lot of problems with ear gunk, you might want to use an ear cleaner, but you might not need it. It just depends on the dog and how much you clean their ears and how often they get wet and get water trapped in their ears and a lot of other factors. So that's the first thing I do. I do that about once a week. Then remember I said my little slicker brush that I like? Well, what I do is, here's one of the reasons I like it, is because I can get, here, put your head up, Titus, put your head up. I can get like every place around his head, his ears, every place, his elbows, or his armpits, I should say, under his belly. You want to make sure you brush every place so that you don't get any mats or a whole lot of problems with mats. And then remember I mentioned the comb? I take the thicker side of the comb, or where the prongs are a little bit more spread out, and then I just run it through him. And this is going all the way down to his skin. And if you've seen Titus, you know what a nice thick coat he has. So it will go all the way down to their skin. What it does is it helps to pull out that undercoat that just needs to come out. So it's really good to do during shedding time. Now right now he's not in shedding time, so this is about all the hair I'm going to get off of him. You'll still get hair, but it's not a huge amount of hair that you're going to get. Furminators. I advise to stay away from a de-shedding tool or a furminator because they tend to do too good of a job, or it pulls out a lot of hair, and then they end up with a very sparse coat. And for me, especially where I show them, I need as much coat as I can get, so I'm certainly not going to do that. But so I really kind of advise you to stay away from a furminator. But anyhow, that's a lot of what I do. It's pretty easy to just groom them on a regular basis, run the slicker brush through them, the comb through them, trim their nails if you're going to trim their nails. The other thing that I like to do, one second. I forgot my scissors. My grooming shears. I like to trim around their feet a little bit. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to pick the camera up so you can actually see his feet a little better. Don't mind the puppies yelling. That's one of yours. Sorry, I can't get his feet here. Okay, there we go. If you see there's some like long hair sticking off right there, well, that's what I do is I just like trim them off, okay, so that you got a nice rounded foot. So you just trim it off so you have a nice rounded foot. Again, if you take them to a groomer, they do that, so you don't have to worry about it. Here's a really good example. These feet, see these long hairs sticking off? My daughter calls them Grinch feet. You just trim them off so that he has a nice rounded foot. Okay, and might as well do all of his feet as long as we're at it. Okay. Gonna get these little long hairs here because they're sitting on the ground. But see, that's all you want to do is just get the, as my daughter says, the long Grinch hairs off. Sorry, I'm not watching where the phone's going because I'm watching where I'm cutting. So anyhow, see, now you have nice rounded feet instead of long hair sticking off of his toes. So that's the only thing that you want to do if you are going to groom your own dogs. Again, the groomer will take care of that for you. But that's basically it as far as grooming. There's not a lot of really technical things to do. It's just keeping them brushed and keeping their hair kind of mat free. And there is a close-up of the cute little Titus. Right, Titus? Can you say bye to everybody?